It felt like I was just treading water, getting more and more exhausted, and honestly, a little hopeless. I was losing sleep over it, stressed out all the time, and avoiding looking at my bank account. My turning point came one evening when I was trying to figure out my budget for the 100th time. I laid out all my credit card statements, and the total just stared back at me. That's when I stumbled upon something called a debt management plan, or a DMP. At first, I was skeptical. It sounded too good to be true. But the more I read, the more it made sense. ADMP isn't a loan. It's a program you enroll in through a non-profit credit counseling agency. Basically, they act as a mediator between you and your creditors. I decided to make the call, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. The credit counselor I spoke with was so kind and non-judgmental. We went through my entire financial situation, my income, my expenses, and all my debts. It was the first time I felt like I had a real ally in this fight. So how does a debt management plan actually work? Let me break it down. First, the credit counseling agency contacts all of your unsecured creditors. We're talking credit cards, store cards, personal loans, things like that. They negotiate on your behalf to lower your interest rates significantly. My average interest rate was around 24%, which is insane. Through the DMP, they got it down to an average of about 8%. That alone was a game changer. Suddenly, a much larger portion of my payment was going towards the actual principal balance instead of just getting eaten up by interest. This is the core magic of a DMP. Once the new, lower interest rates are locked in, the agency consolidates all your separate monthly payments into one single, manageable payment. So instead of juggling 5 different due dates and 5 different payments to 5 different credit card companies, I now make one payment a month directly to the credit counseling agency. They then take that payment and distribute it to each of my creditors according to the plan we agreed on. This simplifies everything so much. It took away all the stress of potentially missing a payment, and it made budgeting a million times easier. I know exactly how much is coming out and when. Now, you might be wondering, what's the catch? There are a few things you need to be aware of. It prevents you from racking up more charges while you retrying to pay off the old ones. It forces you to live on a real budget using the money you actually have. And honestly, it was liberating. No more temptation to swipe a card for something I didn't truly need. What about the credit score impact? Well, initially, closing several accounts at once can cause a temporary dip in your score. My score dropped by about 30 points in the first couple of months. But here's the important part. As you consistently make your on-time payments through the DMP, your score starts to recover and then climb. Why? Because your payment history is the most important factor in your credit score, and you're now making perfect on-time payments every single month. Plus, as your balances go down, your credit utilization ratio improves, which also gives your score a major boost. A year into my plan, my score is actually higher than it was before I started. Let's talk about the cost. Non-profit credit counseling agencies aren't free, but they are very affordable. They typically charge a small one-time setup fee and a low monthly maintenance fee. My setup fee was around $50. And my monthly fee is $35. When you compare that to the hundreds of dollars I was losing to high interest every month, it's an absolute bargain. Think of it as a small investment to save thousands in the long run. And for many people in difficult situations, these fees can even be reduced or waived. You just have to ask. So, what's my progress? I'm currently 18 months into my 5-year plan. I've paid off over $12,000 of my original $30,000 debt. At the rate I was going before, it would have taken me decades to pay that much off. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel now, and it's an incredible feeling. The plan projects that I will be completely debt-free in another 3.5 years. For the first time in my adult life, I have a clear, achievable timeline to financial freedom. I track my progress every month, and watching those balances shrink is the best motivation. Their members are held to high standards. Don't be afraid to make that call. It's a confidential, no-obligation conversation that could completely change your future. It's not a quick fix, it's a disciplined plan. It requires commitment. But the peace of mind and the real progress you'll make are worth every bit of the effort. It put me on the path to becoming debt-free, and it can do the same for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.